So this is the Johari window, and the basic axes of the Johari window are what do others know and what do you know. And it's a model for understanding what you know about you in relation to what others know about you. So look at this list, and this list is actually in your handout. And pick 5 or 6 words that you feel best describe you. Just do it real quick. You can circle them if you want or not there. I know John Cricky's going to pick witty for sure. You better pick witty, John. Just real quick. I see some of you are already done. And then look at my question at the bottom. Would others describe you in the same words? Maybe yes, maybe no. But every word they would use that you would not expect is a part of your blind spot. Now, this is not to engender paranoia in you, like, what are others saying about me there? Instead, the concept of the blind spot is understanding that we all have blind spots, but it may be to our advantage to take specific actions to decrease them. And in fact, feed forward is one way of doing that. So what are these quadrants? How many here are familiar with the Johari window before this here? If you raise your hand, a few folks are. Okay. So for you folks, it'll be a refresher. For others, we're introducing for the first time here. So there's the public area. And that's things that you know and others know, and they could be strengths, they could be weaknesses, but this is the self that we choose to share with others and that we are aware that others are understand these aspects of ourself as well. And then there's the hidden area, and that contains things that others observe that we don't know about. That's the blind spot. Again, could be positive or negative behaviors or other attributes there, but they'll affect the way that others act towards us. And then there's the unknown area. Nobody knows about us, including ourselves, so that's an area you can't do anything about there. And then there's the private area, and that's aspects of ourselves that we know about, but we keep hidden from others. So I'm not talking about the private area here. I'm not suggesting that to do anything with that. I'm only talking about trying to move things from the hidden area to the public area, from blind spot down to public. So yes, please.
I'm a little confused about something, because when we did the exercise, I came up with my own behavior. So it's like, it couldn't be a blind spot to me if I came up with a behavior. But what I'm looking for is feed forward on a behavior that I don't know about.
No, not necessarily. In asking the questions about your behavior, there's an opportunity for you to hear suggestions from other people that may suggest to you that they see you in a different way than you see yourself. So it's not that they're going to suggest a different behavior, it's that their responses may suggest to you certain areas of that. However, there's another form of feed forward that I'm going to allude to, I've already talked about once here, which is the stop, start, and continue. And in that case, they will be giving you behaviors that you may not even have been aware of, that people saw as something that was a behavior, or that they saw it as something like, I wish you'd stop doing that, or I wish you'd do less of that, or I wish you'd start doing that there. And that starts to get into the area of things they know that you don't know. No, good question, good question. So look, I use this example here because it's not fair to use somebody else's example here. So years ago when I was first doing this here, one of the things that I would get from people is like, oh, you're really good at public speaking there. So in the public sphere, things that others knew and that I knew about myself as well is that I'm articulate. I was the 5th kid in a 6-person family there. If you weren't articulate, you weren't going to get anything to eat. So, you know, this is honestly come by on my part here. What people didn't know about me, which was in my private area, is that I could get quite nervous about things, in whether it was public speaking or other things there, and that while I'd figured out ways to manage that there, that wasn't something that the public knew. But as I went through some exercises there, what I didn't understand, and of course there's the area that neither of us know, is that Some people saw me as, oh, he's a very proud person. Oh, he takes too many risks. Oh, he does things on his own there in terms of that there. Even a word I didn't put up there was arrogant. I remember once sitting at a dinner table with somebody there and them saying, oh, you think you're better than everybody else there. I was like, wow, this is blind spot. I don't think I'm better than everybody else. But this person is saying that drink was taken. But this is something you're saying there. So I'm not saying that's the best way to find out about your blind spot, but I use this example here to say that really changed how I behaved with people. Not that I necessarily said, oh, well, I'm going to try to be less of something there, but it's like, I need to be aware that people may be perceiving me in that way. So remember how I went back to the beginning about what's the biggest challenge in your career? For me, the answer is myself. Remember how I talked about how personal mastery is this foundation for career development there? I'm making an argument, and you don't have to buy it, that understanding how other people see you, understanding what's in your blind spot, is absolutely essential to being effective in an organization. Are you going to be able to make it disappear? No. Because for one thing, people may not trust you enough to tell you these things. But can you make efforts to discover that in some way that will be useful to you? Absolutely yes. Have I seen people do this in a way that's very useful for them? Absolutely. Is this what executive coaches do? Yep. If they're Marshall Goldsmith, do they get paid $25,000 a day for doing it? Yep. You might say, well, why would somebody pay that there? Because of the proven effectiveness of helping to decrease that blind spot and then come up with a course forward to be more esteemed, more trusted, and more effective in the organization. So the blind spot is what others know but I don't. And just even starting to think about it in that way of what is it that others know or believe about me that I don't know? It doesn't matter whether it's true or not. We're not talking about something that's verifiable. We're talking about trying to see how are others holding me and what are they not telling me about how they're holding me, and maybe why are they not telling me? Are they afraid to tell me? Do they think that I wouldn't listen to what they're saying? Do they think that I'd be defensive? Do they think that I would wreak revenge upon them? A couple of people are nodding in the back there. You know, absolutely, it's human nature. That's what comes up. So I'm answering this question by saying that there is value in your learning what is in this box. And so I'm not offering you any specific technique beyond saying, well, you could use feed forward and you get some sort of ideas of how people see you in the way that we described it, or you can use the alternate feed forward, which is, you know, Susan, I'm talking to you and I say, look, Susan, you've been watching me all year here now, and I just would like you to tell me 2 things you think I should stop doing, tell me 2 things you think I should start doing, and tell me 2 things you think I should continue doing. Well, when Susan tells me that, I may get some information that was in that box, known to Susan, not known to me. Now what am I going to do with that? Oh, Susan, she really doesn't understand why I do that. I can't stop doing that. I could do that. Or I could say, well, let me ask you why you think I should stop doing that. Now we're having a whole conversation about it. Let me ask you how you came to the conclusion that I need to start doing something I haven't been doing before. And why did I pick Susan? Because she's someone who I think is going to be honest with me. She's someone who I think doesn't have an axe to grind. She's someone who's going to be thoughtful. So you don't just ask anybody. I want to be clear about that. Yes?
What you just described sounds suspiciously like the reflection documents that a manager sends to us to basically comment on a colleague.
It could be. I think there are different documents in different divisions that are, excuse me, that are used there.
So actually, I guess my question would be, is this, you know, what you're suggesting here for a person-to-person conversation, is it appropriate to put those kind of comments in a reflection
That's a great question. I think it depends upon your relationship with the colleague. So here's something I try to do, and I can't claim that this is going to work for everybody. I try never to say anything about anyone that I have not said to the person to their face. That's just my principle. And it goes back to something that the nuns taught in grammar school. Always tell the truth, then you only have to remember one story. So you've asked such an important human question here, right? So I'm asked something there. It's one of the reasons why I'm somewhat famous amongst my own division here for never allowing anonymous 360s. And the reason I don't allow anonymous 360s is because I think that between or among adults is that if I think something about Lori, then I should be willing for Lori to know that I think that about her. People say, well, they won't share. Well, if they won't share, how's it actionable for her? Where does she know where it came from? If she knows it comes from me, she's like, well, that's TJ, and I can understand how he says that. Or that's TJ, and I remember we had something, maybe that's why he said that. But if she doesn't know where it came from, so I think it's really important to have these conversations knowing who said there. And so when I get these things and I get them, that's why I say I know there are different methods because each division seems to send me a different question. Some are open-ended, some are specific in the frame that you talked about there. I know that I've shared that information with the other person there in terms of doing that. So I'm just suggesting two things to you here today. One is that you consider using this tool of feed forward to help to understand where you might go to make some changes you want to make. And that in using that tool or other conversations, you might also get information that would decrease box number 2 up there and would increase box number 1. Let me tell you one side effect of this, is that if it's done sincerely, then the other person may say, all right, let's flip it over. What have you thinking about me? Or what's your feeling about what I should be doing there? Well, how are you seeing me? How am I coming off there? It's not easy to do. There's a reason why I moved this to 9th in the series of things here. This is not easy to do. But I can tell you from a lot of experiences, not just my own now, a lot of experiences with various coaching clients and a lot of coaches that I know who are very well regarded, very successful around the country there, this works. This works to help people get better at what they do.